past couple of months, as I check my newsfeed every day scheduling topics for the channel, it seems like every day I come across an article in my newsfeed from the mainstream media bragging about the supposed growth of the WNBA. This league is great! Ratings are up 67%. Attendance numbers are competing with AAU. America's falling in love with pretend basketball. Anytime I criticize Major League Baseball here on the channel, which I haven't focused too much on baseball this season, but in the past, anytime I criticize baseball, I always receive emails from baseball purists condemning me for criticizing their preferred league. The way I see it, there is absolutely no reason for Major League Baseball to struggle to draw ratings on television. Your league literally runs unopposed during the summer. The majority of the regular season, there's no competition for Major League Baseball. Yet for some reason, Major League Baseball struggles to remain relevant. They struggle to draw an audience on television. Same thing with the WNBA. There's a reason the dump only operates from May to August. There is a reason they rush through the postseason, making it conclude in September. There is a reason they try not to schedule games during the WNBA finals on Saturdays and Sundays. And the reason is the dump cannot compete. But even with a lack of competition, the WNBA continues to draw absolutely abysmal numbers on television. I came across these ratings this afternoon while I was looking into Enes Kanter, who we're going to talk about here in just a second. When I saw this, I just couldn't pass it up. I had to share it with you guys. All season long, I have been hearing about this unprecedented growth in the WNBA. The dump is running at full capacity. Waste Management is now offering their customers sewage service along with trash processing. I come across an article from Front Office Sports. Headline: WNBA outdraws golf on TV. Obviously, I was automatically suspicious. Front Office Sports, they were talking about live golf, not the PGA, but still, I found it hard to believe that dump divers with hair in masculine places and some with minimal hair on their head were able to outdraw a secondary golf tournament on TV. Much to my surprise, though, this story actually ended up being true, but it was another case of the media giving you a partial truth. Front Office Sports, they were right. Even though they aired on different days, even though they weren't competing directly, 2 games in the WNBA outdrew live golf this past weekend. But it got me to wondering, why is Front Office Sports bragging about this? Why are they pointing this out and promoting it? When we talk about ratings in Major League Baseball or the NBA, we don't compare them to golf tournaments. I don't see the mainstream media comparing ratings during the NBA regular season to the PGA or the WWE, but it didn't take me long to figure out why the media was comparing dump basketball to dump golf. As it turns out, live golf, it was just about the only thing the WNBA outdrew last week. Last week, there were 2 nationally televised games in the dump. One was on ESPN, the other was on something called Ion. Casey, what the hell is Ion? Ion, no. I think it's one of those free channels that you can pick up with a cheap antenna and some aluminum foil. My dad, he used to always tell me when he was growing up, they only had 4 channels, channel 3, 5, 10, and Ion. But wait a minute, because this is confusing. I thought ESPN, ABC, I thought they were home of the WNBA. I thought ESPN was dedicated to growing the dump, or what they like to call elite pretend basketball. We are in the middle of August. ESPN, they don't broadcast NFL preseason games. There is literally nothing else for ESPN to broadcast right now. Yet the network supposedly dedicated to the WNBA showcased prepubescent boys in a Little League baseball tournament instead of showcasing pretend athletes. Last week, the WNBA drew 320,000 for their game on ESPN between the New York Lesbians and the Indiana Fauci. Now the game on the antenna, it drew 271,000, once again featuring the New York Lesbians, this time against the Chicago Shitfucks. Now, do I need to sit here and explain why these ratings are god-awful? Front Office Sports, They were bragging about the WNBA outdrawing Liv. But what the media won't tell you, Friday, the WNBA ranked dead last in sports ratings. Dead last. Now, to be fair, they were facing some stiff competition. The Dump was competing in the same time slot against NASCAR trucks on FS1. Now, for those that aren't familiar, NASCAR trucks, they are similar to NASCAR race cars. Instead of the cars emulating a dog chasing its tail riding aimlessly in circles, NASCAR, they have pickup trucks do it instead. Real compelling stuff. WNBA, they were also competing against something called Leagues Cup Friday, which I think is some form of professional soccer. This game, it was being broadcast on something called Unimos. Maybe that's short for Univision? Hell if I know. What I do know, this soccer game doubled the audience of the growing WNBA. And don't even get me started with the Dump action on Sunday that aired on ESPN. That bullshit was outdrawn by anything with a ball or a tire. The LPGA doubled the audience of the WNBA. The LPGA. Can anyone name one golfer on the LPGA Tour? A rerun of the NFL preseason on NFL Network that was on at 9 o'clock Sunday morning outdrew live action from the Dump. Now, another lie the media continues pushing that I'm getting tired of hearing is the supposed growth in attendance. Bucket seats are filled to capacity. This unprecedented growth is forcing the Dump to invest in bleachers. Remember a couple of weeks ago when I showed you that YouTuber, that dude that was sleeping in the front row of a WNBA game? You guys remember that? This dude was literally laid out in the front row, taking up 3 or 4 seats. There was only one guy sitting next to him, and that dude worked at the arena. He was paid to be there. You know why this dude could lay down and take a peaceful nap during a WNBA game? No one else was there. The media is predicting that this will be the most attended WNBA season in the last 5 years, which is great since attendance last season was the worst in the history of the league. Through 133 games, the WNBA, they're averaging 6,700 paid tickets. Fake wrestling draws 10, 12, 15,000 every Monday night. God only knows how many rednecks show up every Sunday to watch white men drive cars in circles in the summer heat. And I'm supposed to be excited about 6,700 paid tickets a game? Notice that's not attendance. That's just paid tickets. There are high school football games that easily double that number. Go down to Muleshoe, Texas on a Friday night. You'll find more people watching teenagers play football than you'll find at a WNBA game. Average attendance across the league's around 60% capacity. The closest team in the WNBA to selling out games is the Las Vegas Masculine Aces. They're around 3,000 tickets away from doing so. The high school gym that the Atlanta Dreamers play in, that they call home, it holds 3,200 people and they can't sell out. I saw 3,200 people in the drive-thru at Chick-fil-A earlier this afternoon. The LA Sparkles, located in one of the biggest basketball markets in the country. Los Angeles, very progressive city. If anyone is going to support pretend basketball, it would be the city of Los Angeles. The Sparkles fill their arena to 34% capacity. This league is a huge, embarrassing failure, but that's okay. That's okay, because there is a hero on the horizon. I can be your hero, baby. Or you know what? Maybe the Mariah Carey version is better suited for this topic. When a hero comes along with a gigantic dong and you cast your beard aside, hop on your cucumber and ride. There is one man willing to make the sacrifice to save the WNBA. There is one man who is willing to save these entitled women from going out of business. His debut in the WNBA, it would guarantee to draw 1 million viewers. And to be honest with you, his participation in the Dump, it would be welcomed by other dump divers. A couple of months ago, I remember Bob Griner advocating for biological men to be able to compete in the WNBA. Ladies and gentlemen, I've got some exciting news. Enes Kanter has pretended to go through the process of transitioning. My boy Enes, he has become an expert in the field of transitioning. Not too long ago, he transitioned from Enes Kanter to Enes Freedom. Now, he has successfully completed the transition from Enes Freedom to Anisha Freedom. Isn't that great? Mr. Kanter woke up this morning and decided that he is now Mrs. Kanter. This is great news. Mrs. Kanter is now petitioning to join her fellow identifiers in the WNBA. Now, this could not fit any better. For the longest time, people against transgender involvement in sports, they have claimed that men choose to identify as women to invade women's sports because they suck when they're competing against other dudes. Well, Mrs. Kanter has been blackballed from the NBA. At 31 years old, all 30 teams in the NBA decided that they couldn't find a need for a 7-foot center who averages 11 and 8 per game. Since he can't collect millions in the NBA, why not collect minimum wage in the WNBA? Mrs. Kanter filled out the application to apply for woke welfare in the WNBA. Now, my inside sources tell me Mrs. Kanter also applied for the Dump Beauty Contest. She sent her picture along with her application. Check it out for yourself. Now, as you can see here, Mrs. Kanter has already grown the necessary beard to qualify for work in the WNBA. Now, I would give Mrs. Kanter one recommendation. I know she spent months applying just for men to get her hair grown to the desired length. Obviously, though, Mrs. Kanter failed to realize the WNBA, they prefer their women to have short hair. Enes Kanter got on Twitter, told the WNBA about his new identity, his new preferred name along with preferred pronouns, and asked if they were hiring. Yet for some strange unknown reason, the WNBA has failed to respond. I haven't seen Bob Greiner advocating for Enes Kanter to join the WNBA. I wonder why. Now, obviously, Enes Kanter is doing this as a joke. He's doing this to make a point, but it just goes to show you, these women who advocate for biological men and women's sports, they are only advocates when it doesn't affect them personally. You think active players in the WNBA want to compete against Enes Kanter? I mean, nothing against him, but this dude was a role player in the NBA. He wasn't even close to being a top 100 player in the league. But if Enes Kanter played in the WNBA, his team wouldn't lose a game. They could guard him 5-on-1, he'd put up 100 points. But give me your thoughts. The media celebrates WNBA ratings again by polishing the turd. They point out that the dump beat dump golf, but they conveniently failed to mention that the WNBA finished dead last Friday and couldn't beat the LPGA on Sunday. What do you think about Enes Kanter joining the WNBA? I mean, since WNBA players have been advocating for this, I say let it happen. Just put him in for one game. That's all it would take. Just put him in for one game and it would end all this bullshit. There would not be another dump diver advocating for biological men in the WNBA. But you give me your thoughts. Sound off in the comments below. Make sure to like and subscribe. Click the notification bell to receive all notifications from the channel. Best way to contact me is by email at btlkc84@gmail.com, KC_BTL84 on Twitter. I'll see you guys tomorrow.